wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you all about the Fintech evolution. My history in the Fintech industry, we didn't actually call it Fintech, we called it financial service software, but I've been there 20 years. Most recently, the last 12 years at Triana, and now my transition over to ICAP. Triana is a subsidiary of ICAP. ICAP's Infinity Group, and our remit is innovation and advancement of technology across the entire financial services landscape. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things today, and we will click forward here. Some of the topics I want to talk to you about is, can you prepare for a career in FinTech, and what does it take? How is the FinTech industry driving change and innovation? And how do we solve capital markets problems? Preparing for a career in FinTech. To me, there is no perfect mix. It's all about diversification, cute little pie chart there. Technology, finance, and a couple of other skills that I'll talk about. To me, it's about balance. FinTech industry is built on diversification, made up of a mix of knowledge and experiences. To me, it's where old school Wall Street meets technological entrepreneurship. I had the opportunity over the course of my 20 years to work with Wall Street veterans. They have taught me how the business works. They taught me where certain decisions are made. Banks, custodians, hedge funds, asset managers, how do they operate? From them, I learned how the business worked. And now, for that, I will stress the word worked. Part of the FinTech industry is evolution. My job and the role of the FinTech industry is defining how the industry will work today and in the future, how we use technology to advance that. All about balance, technology and finance. Well, obviously, the name of the industry is FinTech, so technology and finance are an important part of having a career in that industry. So we strive to sit at the intersection between finance and technology, and all of the successful teams that I have built over the years modeled after that philosophy. Sometimes people from finance, sometimes people from technology. The ideal candidate has both. That's the dream candidate. Now, I look at all of you here and a lot of wide eyes and very excited. Those dream candidates far and few between. Most people specialized in one or the other. For me, where the diversification and the true success happens is in the other areas. I call that the secret ingredients. TOTB. I shortened it because it's a very cliche term, thinking outside the box. Now, everyone says it all the time, very overused, but to me it's very, very true. If you can possess the skills to forget, and I'm using the word forget, put it aside, put it in the box so you can think outside of the box, all of the constraints and boundaries that you've learned, it's going to make you successful in this industry and successful in any industry that requires solving problems. To find innovative solutions to problems and evolve efficiency in this space, we need to work through the historical rules and procedures that have been passed down for generations. 30, 40 years on Wall Street, you saw the pictures of the people on the trading floor with tickets and papers and old terminals. Thinking outside of the box is a way that we can utilize strategies from other disciplines and other areas to improve the efficiency of that market. I'm going to use one more, and that's another cliche term, put yourself in their shoes. In relation to solving problems in this space, I'm going to describe that technique as designing solutions for a diverse user group. Software is used by multiple people, so in my situation, how do I design a product that has very little impact to the IT teams, performs proper credit and risk calculations for collateral management groups, and allows the back office guys to do all of the end-of-day reconciliations? I need to focus on each one of that group's pain points. I need to determine their inefficiencies in their current process, and most importantly, I need to focus on user experience. Two things we talk about a lot in the software industry: user interface, user experience. User interface typically refers to, what am I looking at? What's my screen? What do I see? User experience is how am I interacting with this software product, and how will it allow me to do my job better? To me, that's the user experience. That's how you put yourself in somebody's shoes. First, I want to say, side note, very excited to be called a rock star. It hasn't happened in a long time. The other area is soft skills, and these are all of the different areas that you might get as you study cross-disciplinary subjects in college. So for me, one of the interns in my office, I had a quick chat, and she said, I studied sociology. And the other one is studying in Scotland and political history. And I said, well, so how did you end up at Trent? She's working in the client service desk. She's solving problems with our hedge fund clients. Soft skills, communication skills. She writes well. She can put presentations together. She speaks to me well, she speaks to superiors, she speaks to her clients well. In this space, that ability is extremely important. I'd say one of the most eye-opening experiences I had in this industry, and again, it's before we called it Fintech, was, now we call it Google Translate, okay? But 15 years ago, there was no such thing as Google Translate. But I had the ability, and this is 15, maybe even 18 years ago, I worked at Price Waterhouse, and I sat with the development team and the business team, and I sat in between them and played translator. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And to me, that ability to communicate well and play Google Translate is a differentiating factor in someone in the fintech space. You've got to marry the technology with the finance, and a lot of times they don't speak the same language. Teamwork and collaboration, those are obvious. Everyone needs to work on the teamwork and collaboration. Observation. Everyone can analyze data, everyone can collect data, can manipulate it. It's the ability to interpret that data and determine how it gets presented to your target audience that often is going to differentiate a successful implementation from an unsuccessful implementation. Conflict resolution. I can tell you that every day my job is honky-dory, peachy keen, we have a great time. There's problems every single day. It's how you how you navigate and resolve those problems that's a differentiating factor in your career. We're going to go to the next slide. Cheaper, faster, better. So I work for a CEO, her name is Jenny Knott. These are her favorite 3 words. She says them to me constantly. Cheaper, faster, better. When she sees the video, she's going to be very excited. Cheaper. How do we reduce cost? The industry needs to reduce cost. Banks, hedge funds, asset managers, the entire capital markets. We need to reduce cost. Technology is a way we can do that. We use it to improve all processes across the organizations. It allows us to retire old systems. Mentioned mainframes, right? Retiring mainframes, retiring old systems that require expensive maintenance. It's a very difficult thing to do. That's what we do in the fintech industry. And we do that via collaboration. So collaboration is a major cost reducer. We provide tools to the industry that help us standardize procedures. We want to define tools, build tools that are adaptable not just by one organization, but across the entire ecosystem. Every firm in the street needs to match, allocate, confirm their trades. The way they do this typically doesn't differentiate in attracting new business or growing their bottom line. It's simply a cost of doing business. These are the types of areas that are perfect for cost reduction. Faster, lower latency. It's a good follow-up to your presentation. One of the key drivers involved in this industry is speed and execution, confirmation, calculations, reporting, just to name a few. So I started in China 12 plus years ago. I worked on their FX post-trade processing systems, electronic delivery of messages to banks post-trade, so everything done after the execution of the trade, either voice or electronically, would flow through our networks. 2 to 3 minutes, end-to-end, revolutionary. We couldn't implement fast enough. I'm being honest with you, it was literally a revolutionary product. Today, I'd say about the tipping point was about 3 years ago. 2 to 3 seconds, anything slower than 2 to 3 seconds, completely unacceptable. And the trend is moving towards sub-second solutions. Now, this is not to execute a trade. This is to receive the message of the executed trade to your middle office, to your back office. 2 to 3 seconds, sub-seconds. 60x decrease in latency in the time I've been with Triana, and the estimates are that the FX market has grown from approximately 2 trillion notional a day in 2004 to 5.3 trillion a day in 2015, almost entirely via electronic trading platforms and confirmations. Only achievable with this type of innovation. The third one up there is better. Money and time are wasted throughout the industry due to inaccurate data and redundant processes. It's an estimate. We work with a consulting firm called Oliver Wyman. They estimate that internally at banks there's 1,000 reconciliation checks done on a daily basis. That's 1,000 times a day. There's someone in the bank double checking their data, rematching, reconfirming. Huge cost overhead. Any cost overhead is going to be a huge hit in your bottom line. The number of people and systems involved in this creates a huge resource overhead. It's another cost of doing business and has a significant impact on the profitability. The main challenge here is building a trusted data store internally and extending that trust between organizations. So, Adina was talking about blockchain, things like that. That's about trusting the data, about trusting the data store. One of the things we're trying to do is internally build a trusted data store, and then we'll be able to extend that across the ecosystem. Innovation doesn't necessarily require new technology, and I talk about change in 3 different ways. Systems, replacing those old inefficient and expensive systems with new scalable ones, using technology like distributed ledger and blockchain, cloud-based computing, which allows for portability. Blockchain and distributed ledger technology, which is the backbone of Bitcoin and Ethereum, excellent set of technology. Does it apply directly to the capital markets? I don't think the industry is sure yet. We're at this point where people are still trying to figure it out. When we've done experimentation in our labs, there's a tremendous overhead in, so what is blockchain and distributed ledger really good at? Establishing trust when I don't know who my counterparty is. I'm in the capital markets and I have a privatized network like my Harmony network. I don't need to establish trust. I know who you are. You're part of my network. I've onboarded you. I've known my customer. I've done all of the checks and balances that I have to do to make sure that you're a customer I want to deal with. So the overhead of the type of security that blockchain brings, it's a little bit expensive to use in this type of infrastructure. So the companies and the industry that will figure out the best way to use part of the technology and some of the concepts is the ones that are going to be successful. I talk about process and behavior, and I talk about it together. They go hand in hand and equally as important as the technology. Affecting change is more about altering, we'll go back to user experience, but altering the user's behavior and their established processes. My CEO also likes to refer to banks as commingled wet spaghetti. So like, try to pull apart all these individual processes, it's almost impossible. So the difficulty is unraveling and untangling. We've got to change some of these antiquated processes. First, we do it at a micro level. Internally, we extend those to a macro level across the ecosystem. And the last one on this slide is establishing trust. I see my time is running, so I'm going to move a little faster. One of the most important themes, and if you walk away with this today, I will believe that I'm very successful here. Regardless of its new technology, a process change, or any other change in an organization, the key is going to be in establishing trust. I firsthand have seen the most innovative technology projects fail simply because the audience did not believe in or trust the technology or the solution that they were being asked to. Move on to my last slide. How do we solve capital markets problems? I talk a little bit about an ecosystem. We work in a very complex environment, an ecosystem that's as diverse as nature itself. Only by recognizing that across the organization we've got dependencies on each other are we going to be able to continue to build successful and profitable businesses. My first experience with this was with Triana and our Harmony FX network. We started out with 4 banks back in 2004. 3 of those banks are no longer around anymore, so take a moment of silence. At its core, it's a collection of connections. Connect to us, you're now connected to the ecosystem. Now, obviously, if there's only 4 banks connecting to us, allows you to connect to 3 more, great, that's not so exciting. But as other members of the community start to see the benefits and the ecosystem effect, we are now at a situation where it's an industry utility. It's not an exchange, it's not a market, it's an industry utility. You cannot trade tri-party FX, and we're trying to get to a point where you can't trade bilateral FX post-trade without being part of our network. Every single one is there. And the easy thing about it was, it's this snowball effect. Every bank you add gets more and more exciting for every other connection that wants to come on board. We took care of the normalization, the managing of connections. You connect once to us, you now have access to anyone in the ecosystem. That was my first, and that's how the industry continues to grow. Ecosystem collaboration go hand in hand. Angles and approaches. This goes back to TOTB, stepping outside the confines of the traditional banking and finance organizations, and using your cross-disciplinary backgrounds is the most effective way to solving problems. It's about looking at the problem from a different direction, through a different lens, and wearing a different hat. Understand your landscape and know your audience. Understanding the history and the background, what led to that issue. Is the person, is your target audience, a proponent of your success or an opponent to it? Understanding these things is a skill you can't learn unless you're on the job and get that type of experience. So it's always important to observe, question, and challenge every single step of the way. And I'll leave you with this last segment here, which is about putting a dollar value to the problem. So technology often seen as creating problems to solve. One of the uphill battles we always have as a fintech firm is solving problems that actually exist. So to do that and to prove that, we talk about 3 different costs here: dollar cost, people cost, and time cost. It looks like my slide's a little out of date here, but dollar cost is how can I reduce expenses, how can I gain efficiency to increase revenue. Executives want to know what's the bottom line effect. Time cost, how do I get people to use their time more effectively? If somebody's not spending time on a redundant process, they have more time on growing the business and improving processes elsewhere. And I'll lastly leave you with risk costs. Managing risk is a major cost of all financial institutions. They manage market risk, they manage internal risk. One of the biggest risks they manage is the risk of being wrong. So I talked about the 1,000 reconciliation processes that happen during the day, each day, every single bank across the street. If we can find a way to remove some of those processes and manage the data properly, we manage down less mistakes, less financial impact, overall better. Technology solutions coupled with process changes and behavioral changes are going to lead us to innovation, and that's going to help us grow our financial markets. And to me, that's what the fintech industry is all about. A little bit over my time. I'm here during the break. Thank you for your time.